My name is Nancy McAdam. I live in a very remote spot on the Black Isle, which is north of Inverness for those of you who come from further abroad.
Good day. My name is James McKillop. I've been living in Glasgow, Scotland since 1971, and to cut a long story short, I was diagnosed with dementia in November 1999. That's a long time in the dementia world.
Hi everybody, I'm Agnes. I was diagnosed with dementia of the Alzheimer's type at the age of 57. And for me, dementia was more than memory. It affects all my senses and it's now affecting my walkability, my gait and my balance.
I loved all the words that we cobbled together to produce the booklet. Particularly, I'm responsible for my own life. I'm very sure of that fact. All of us with dementia are very responsible for our own lives. And I'm in control of my dementia. From the house into Inverness takes an hour. And then I organise buses to take me down to Glasgow. The travelling takes a lot out of you. And when I get finished the session that we're doing for the alumni, I then go home to the family, and the family are full on, which is just lovely. But I do get tired. When I've been down visiting them, when I come home, I'm just glad to have the place to myself.
All these trips down to England and Wales, I say, they're far from easy.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it now. I'm not physically able to do it unless I maybe get an overnight stay and leave early in the morning so that I can get home at a decent hour. Self-management came around about 2007 and 8, and because of the lockdown, I've been going through old CDs and paperwork, and I found out I was doing something around about 2006. It was self-management under a different name. It was called Citizen Leadership. The Alliance brought out a book about it, but that's in 2008. But unfortunately, it never came to our attention. It went mainly to people with other disabilities. We were left in the dark, and I think the powers that be should have read it, recognised it applied to us, not as well as others. Because I remember the first time I heard it, I was at a meeting, and I thought, my God, do they mean we have to manage our lives? So we just didn't understand the term at that time. Now, of course, it means that you are in charge of your life and you direct people as to what they do, and which, of course, is the way it should be.
We hadn't a clue what self-management. When you think that we worked and worked, this is 10 years ago that we knew all these things. It's just incredible, I think. And for James to have found it out after all this time is just gobsmacking. So we're very happy to be publishing in this booklet today. What really missing is my walking group and my iPad class. People with dementia need to learn how to use the equipment and the Zooms and the linking with other people. I can do it when it's not the lockdown, but during this time it's very, very difficult, I've got to say. I get great support from my mindfulness friends that I work with, and that can now happen on Zoom. So that's really quite lovely, and people can come from wherever they are. This is a passage I would like to read. It's called Love from our families and friends, our community and our peer support, enjoying social opportunities, all help us to fulfill our needs and to self-manage our lives. The late psychologist Tom Kitwood talked about this as a flower of emotional needs is love. I just love that. I just think it's a wonderful way to express what we're about.
Tom Kitwood not only talked about it, but drew the diagram of the emotional flower. And self-management helps you obtain everything that the flower said. Love at the heart of it. The love that comes from our family, the love that comes from the peers, love of life, love of gardening, love of thriving and not surviving. So self-managing helps us to thrive through our dementia, not just survive. We added hope because we always travel hopefully. During the research, I was all over Scotland. I used the trains, the buses. I was invited everywhere. I had my questionnaires to ask to inform the booklet. And if you met me on the train, if you said you knew you had dementia, I said, would you like to take part and tell me, do you know what this is? And I asked the questions, and it was amazing. And when we came about to make the self-management booklet, there was a bit of controversy and mix-up, even amongst ourselves. We kept getting self-management and self-directed support mixed up, and that's why it's research-based. We spent, maybe the first 6 months researching it and trying to get a handle on ourselves. How could we write about what we didn't understand ourselves? It took us nearly 2 years to make this booklet roundabout. And in that 2 years, I used the knowledge that I was gaining to apply for self-directed support, to get told by people that I wouldn't be eligible and I wasn't sick enough to get it, needy enough to get it. But I was so empowered by the knowledge and so knew that it was my right to be assessed. And it took me 18 months, the same length as the booklet, to get through and go through the process to get self-directed support. And on the way, while we were doing it and talking about self-management, and it's all in the booklet, and I really want people to read the booklet and personalise it and get the outcome that I got. I was assessed, I could get it. And then they started to dictate to me, no, you can't do that with your budget. You need to do it within these parameters. And I thought, no, that's not what self-directed support is about. So the self-management booklet empowered me to ask for help from an advocate to speak out for me. So self-management isn't about doing it yourself. It's about having the knowledge and being empowered to get people to help you to get the help that you need to have the outcomes that is an asset to your life. And I found that all out by researching this book. It's not for the faint-hearted. To self-manage and to get your needs met, you need to chat with your family, find out what your needs are and why, back it up with the whys, and then go for it. And then use advocacy, schools like Nancy talked about to get digital knowledge in that, and go for it. And it was the best thing that happened to me, because now during COVID, I've been able to get my needs met as best as we could, even although that for the past 6 months, I haven't been out my house. I've been in total self-isolation, and that's why I feel it's a very important peer-to-peer resource. And we went to Stornoway, we went all over, and it was wonderful. And I learned so much about myself through listening to others, and that's why it's a peer-to-peer resource. It didn't come from professionals. It came from chatting to people who are going through their personal challenges. And that, I find it's a powerful place to be in the driving seat of your own life, whether you've got dementia or not. And it is your human right to have that, And so don't think you're going cap in hand. No. And why shouldn't it be our human rights? We didn't do anything wrong to lose any of our rights.
The family, when they came visiting this year, went to Monroe's and bought me some cabbages. And that's what I've got on the ground. And then I planted your lovely purple stuff. What was it called? Chicory?
It was a fancy Italian chicory I sent you, yeah.
That's right. Well, it's planted too. I'm longing for it to start flowering. My neighbour gave me 3 spring cabbages, so they've been put in the ground. The tatties are lifted and they were a nightmare.
I know in the past I had things, but they were offered to me in a sort of a take it or leave it. You know, you couldn't sort of do a choice. It was either their way or nothing. That was shocking. But then I joined a group with Brenda. Well, Brenda was the boss, and I could choose what I wanted to do. When I bought out a book of photographs, Brenda would take me out where I wanted to go, and any time of the day or any conditions. For example, in my book, I've got a photograph of the horse in the M8 as you come from Edinburgh to Glasgow, and I've got it in the snow. But I'd say to her, I'd like to take a picture of a horse in the snow. And one day I was sitting at home and the phone rang and it was Brenda saying, there's a lot of snow, get ready. And off we went. So there was another support worker there. They stood chattering with the cold while I took my photographs. I didn't feel the cold then. When you take photographs, everything else, every discomfort goes out of your mind. So again, that was really at the forefront in those days. The book ran out. It's never been republished. And I saw one in, I think it was eBay recently for £20. It cost £10 new. I've got a DVD of Citizen Leadership. I've even marked on them, is this the start of self-directed support? I don't have any self-directed support or that, because I've heard how hard it is to get it. There's so many hoops to jump through. So I've never, I don't want any hassle at that. So, and again, I've got a great wife, so all my needs have been met just now, but it's because of recent illnesses and like a TIA, I'm needing help with transport now. I can't walk very far and I've got balance problems. So so apart from my wife, there's not really anybody that's I can direct it to help me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have MD.
I really wanted it to be the first research where the persons living with dementia choose the subject, were in the driver's seat of their own research, and we could go to the university and it was our idea, etc. And we would invite them to participate as partners rather than the opposite way around. And we put a lot of work in it. And I think James referred to it was. And what happened was Edinburgh University was going to partner us in that, and they were all excited. But then you see, it didn't pass their ethics or their funding board. So we didn't find that out until we were well into doing what we were doing, etc. So we decided to, as a group, to just go on and do our own research without the ethics, without the whatever. And we followed everything that we learned. So we followed the rules and the guidance that we were given by the university. We just didn't have it passed and officially stamped by any university or by anybody, you know. So there's no name, no fault, you know. And I think that was a big learning for us. And I think Jane said we were let down. And yes, because it takes time. And I know researchers are used to taking 2, 3, 4 years to do it. But we didn't have 4 years to do this. People living with dementia don't have all the years to put into that. So we just done it. And I wanted to thank Heather Wilkinson in that for the time and the information that she gave us. Hospitality. If it wasn't for Irene Oldfather from the Alliance, we wouldn't have had a place. And towards the end, when they seen our mobility was getting worse and we were getting stretched, and they could see how hard we were working, that they started bringing the tea in and setting it up. I don't know if you remember that, guys.
Of course.
and with the sugar in the milk and what, to save us time, because we didn't have time to waste. And then, of course, we got the lovely Rosemary, who then took over, and she was always a catering manager, and she made sure we got lovely cakes, and oh my God, it was delectable. That was the alumni self-managing their meetings and bringing in, asking for help so that we could go on with what we were good at. That was the start of our self-management. So thank you, Irene, and the lovely staff. You can self-manage your life from a nursing home, from a care home. It's your human right to do so. And that is what I love about it. And I can't thank the Community Fund enough, or Life Changes Trust, who supported us to enable us to meet, to chat, and to get all of this gathered together. But on a personal level, it changed and transformed my life. So thanks, everybody.